Hi, everyone. The question of the day. When I'm not able to sleep and I'm laying in my nice, comfy bed, should I stay in bed or should I get out of bed? Because this is something that's been hard for me to really own. Being a severe insomniac, when I get sick, like it happened last month, I quickly revert back to my mind and my body, thinking that it's okay for me to lay in bed and not be able to sleep and start ruminating. And when you're sleep deprived, your emotions just get so out of whack. And it quickly, my body got back into this, it's okay to stay in bed and not sleep and ruminate. And I needed to break that. It's actually called a negative sleep association, where our bed becomes a cue for us to be awake and worry as opposed to a cue for sleep. And so, what did I do to help myself out of that? And I want you to know that, I had severe insomnia for many years, and I didn't know this back then. And so, looking at all the cognitive behavioral therapy books, I was like, oh, but getting out of bed, what is that going to help? And what I've done is I actually pair getting out of bed with some mindset shifts and some tapping. And so I wanted to go through the steps that I've developed that I follow. And I did last month because I stopped sleeping. I got sick. I was waking up with a cough in the middle of the night. And every time I would get this cough, I don't know if you've ever had that, but I would wake up in a fright and my heart would be pounding, and then I wasn't able to go back to sleep. So I had something that actually happened that stopped me from sleeping, but then my body just right away went back to all my bad or negative behaviors, and all my negative beliefs came back in, and I had to do the work to get myself back to being able to fall asleep quickly. So my name is Carol Richard. I'm the founder of the Sleep Success Academy, and I really help sleep deprived individuals to find ways that they can manage and get the sleep they need, because a lot of the times it's not the fact that I got sick that stopped me from sleeping, is the fact that I created then the behaviors and the habits that stayed me stuck in that sleepless cycle. So today we're going to talk about steps on how I manage to get myself back to sleep. And these are steps anybody can follow. And there's quite a few of them. But just so you know, they're not big steps. So I'm going to go through them one at a time, and you write some notes and see where you can make some changes that might help you do this, so that you can so that your mind and body can associate your bed with the place to actually sleep as opposed to ruminate. So step number one, you have to make a decision to prioritize your sleep. I say this often, and myself sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I want to prioritize my sleep, but something else happens, and we're not sticking to that priority of I'm going to make sure I sleep, because it's a lot more than saying I want to make sure I sleep. There's all these actions and behaviors and beliefs that we have to shift in order to get there. So, choose to make sleep a priority. If you need help, reach out to a friend, maybe for an accountability partner, or reach out to a professional for help. I'm not the only one who helps people get their sleep back under control. So see what it would take for you to make sleep a priority. And then step number two is for you to decide on your sleep schedule. So what works best for you? And I say that you need to decide your sleep schedule before we can talk about getting in and out of bed, because it's going to be very important for you to have a consistent sleep schedule, so that we can figure out what works best for you, right? So my sleep schedule is from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m., 7 days a week. Yes, even on the weekend, I might stay up till 10 on the weekend, but my body's still waking up at 5. The odd time I might sleep a little bit later, but never by much. And that's because I'm so consistent with my sleep schedule. But when I got sick, that all went out the window. And that's what happens when we so quickly can revert back to the old program we had. So I had to follow these steps so that I could get back on my sleep and feel the best that I can. And so I had to decide again on my sleep schedule, 9 to 5. So what does that mean, right? So step number 3, I want you to commit to a wake up time more than a going to bed time. And you're going to say, why a wake up time? Shouldn't I commit to the time I want to go to bed? Well, this is how I see it. Once I get out of bed at the same time every day, then I'm creating enough hours awake so that when I go to bed at night, I'm tired. And if you do this consistently enough, your body will automatically get into that 24-hour circadian rhythm that is best for your body. So, but we have to keep our wake up time consistent so that we can start like all the processes neurobiological that happens in our body and get our day going. So that's the biggest thing is make sure you select the wake up time. So depending on what time you have to go to work, how much time you need in the morning, so choose that. And I always tell people then go 8 hours prior to that is wake up time. So for me, it's at bedtime. I mean, so I wake up at 5, so I rewind 8 hours, and that's 9 o'clock because it takes a little bit of time to fall asleep. So I get my 7.5 hours. Once we do that, step number 4 is where the really hard work starts. Don't go to bed until you're sleepy. And that's hard because when we are wired and tired, we feel tired, but we're not sleepy. And if we try to go to bed and we didn't give our body a chance to wind down first, we're not going to get rid of that tired feeling to get into the sleepy feeling. So I hope I made sense with that. So we really want to go to bed when we're sleepy, not when we're tired. And so what does that look like? For me, like I can just feel my body really being that sleepy and I can't really stay awake anymore. So I go to bed, and usually within 10 to 15 minutes of getting in my bed, I'm asleep. And so step number 5, what I want to talk about is we're going to create an evening rituals for you that is uncomplicated and relaxing, because we want to move out of the stress of the day. So as much as we want to go to bed only when we're sleepy, if we're working, looking at email, looking at social media, right to the point of going to bed, we haven't given our body and our mind a chance to rest before it can go to sleep. So it stays wired and tired. It never gets into the sleepy mode. Now, this takes practice and it doesn't happen the first time you do it, but the more you do it, I know myself, like I don't look at social media after 8. Actually don't look at my phone after 8. The people who really need to reach me in case of an emergency, their number will ring even if I go on do not disturb mode, because I've set them up so that they can actually get a hold of me. So there's a setting on your phone so you can do that. So really looking at what can I do in the evening that helps me move out of the stress of the day, and then maybe get into a more relaxed, calm state. And this is where tapping can come in. So I'm not saying tapping for like all the bad stuff that's ever happened in your life, but tapping so that we can just process the day and quiet our mind and body. So once we've done that and we've gone to bed when we were sleepy, then step number 6 comes in. If you're in, and this is the second hard one, if you're in bed and you're not sleeping after 20 minutes, oh moly, get out of bed. I don't like this part. We really have to get out of bed, because when we stay in bed and we start being frustrated and angry, and sometimes we don't even have an emotions, we're just laying there wide awake, our body and our nervous system is not calm enough for sleep. So we're not going to sleep, and we're going to reinforce that negative sleep association. So we get out of bed. And so, yeah, that's tough. We get out of bed. I go sit on the couch. And I automatically start tapping because that's my go-to when I know I'm not sleeping. But step number 7 is doing something boring and relaxing while you're out of bed. So don't get on your phone. Don't start scrolling social media. I know it's so tempting. You're thinking, I'll just scroll through a little bit. I'll play a Candy Crush game. I'll just do something. But it's actually, that is all activating our mind. It might make us feel like we're relaxing, but we're not. We're still being very active in the mind by playing the game or reading stuff on social media. Tapping can also do that. Tapping can also activate us. And so I'm saying use tapping because for me, if I'm awake with something stressful, I can use tapping and calm my nervous system, get back to sleep within half an hour. Or I can sit there quietly thinking about it without the action of tapping, and I'll be up for hours. And so in that moment, yes, I do choose tapping to process the emotions that are keeping me awake anyway, because I'm awake. But if I don't really have thoughts or anger coming up, but I'm just too wired, I will just then do some tap and breathe. So depending on what is happening that you're not being able to sleep. So just tapping and breathing, just like, it's okay. And really accepting that we're not sleeping. That's a hard one too. But once we accept that we're not sleeping, for some reason, our body decides wants to sleep. And then Step number 8 is repeat the process. Once you feel sleepy, go to bed. If you're not able to sleep within 20 minutes, get back out of bed. When I was talking to you about getting sick and the coughing, and once I was back to like not coughing at night, and I chose to do this process again so that I could get my sleep back on track. The first night I got out of bed 4 times between 1 and 3 in the morning. But then the second night I did this, it was only twice. And then the third night I slept through. So my body is also used to this routine and this process. So I got back on track quickly. So when you do this for the first time, it might actually take you longer to train your mind and body to go to sleep. And that's okay, because the more we do it and the more we put this in practice, the easier it gets for us to actually fall asleep on our own and associate the bed with a place to fall asleep as opposed to a place to ruminate and worry. So I hope this makes sense. I know it's 8 big steps. It's hard to do. So if you're struggling with doing this, I get it. Even me, I struggle with doing this, because even if I'm laying in my bed ruminating, it's warm and cozy and my couch is cold. So I make sure I always have a blanket on the couch. So if I do need to get out, at least I can wrap myself in a blanket, and I sit up. I don't lay down on the couch. I don't want to fall asleep with the couch, because I don't want to associate the couch with the place to sleep. I want my bed for that. So I sit up, I do what needs to be done, and then I go back to bed. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Put a comment below here. Reach me on my website at sleepsuccessacademy.com, or send me an email at support@sleepsuccessacademy.com.